Science.
Methodist Youth Club because he stole the record winner weight for me. So anyway, I lost touch with Billy Irvin because he was 4 years older than me, but when I went to do my apprenticeship, actually he was in the same company, right? So what happened is we became good friends again. And through the years, his claim to fame was that he was a Newcastle United season ticket holder.
Claim to fame.
But yeah, that was his claim to fame. So as the years went on, we worked away and everything else. Billy came to me and he says, Glenn, I've got a bit of a problem. I said, well, what's your problem? He says, I think my wife is having an affair. I says, well, I'm sorry, Billy, but you know, what do you want me to do about it? He says, well, I just thought I'd talk to you about it. And being a Newcastle United supporter, I used to go away to all the away games. Anyway, he says one day, he says, Glenn, come here. He says, I go to all the away games and I think that my wife is having an affair and it's on these away games. Okay? I said, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I'm going to tell her I'm going on the away game, but I'm not. And what I want you to do, I want you to be with me because I think it's in our house. So anyway, okay, Billy, let's go. So we go down to his house at Chillingham Road in Newcastle, Chillingham Road. And we go in the house, up the stairs, because there's nobody downstairs, and sure enough, his wife is in bed with this guy. So Billy pulls it, there was no door base in there. He pulled the blanket over, right? And he says to the guy, what's going on? So he said, what's going on? And she says, hold on, Billy, let's get this into perspective. You know when you wanted a new car and you didn't have the money, well, this guy supplied some of the money. And when we went to Monte Carlo and everything else, this guy supplied the money. So Billy was a bit taken back about this, my man. He says, and he looked at me like that, he says, Glenn, and remember, and this was November, it was fucking freezing cold. He says, Glenn, what do I do? I says, well, if I was you, I think I'd put the blanket back over him in case he catches cold.
The tongue twister is Mrs. Little Cutsy had a square cut square, cut up square.
Well, have you got it written down? Because I'd never remember it.
Can you say that again, louder?
I'll repeat again. Mrs. Little Cutsy had a square cut punt, not a punt cut square, but a square cut punt. Next. So I'm going to pick on 3 people to say the same rhyme. And if we'll then give you a vote to decide which one of you thinks they said it the best, and then we'll get the prize.
Oh, good.
So who wants to be firstly
Me.
nominated?
I'll be first.
You're going to say it first, yeah? Come on then. So you're not getting the prize today. So who can say this little rhyme after me? Come on. I can say it. Come on, Greg. Mrs.
Mr. Ian had a 4-cut square.
Come on, we can all do better than that. Come on.
I think mine was the best.
Mrs. Square Pussy.
Come on then, Bob. Mrs. Little Pudsey
Mrs. Little Pussy.
has a square cut punt.
Well, I can do it that way.
Not a punt cut square,
No, punt, cut square.
but a square cut punt.
Square, punt.
Hey, very good. Come on, Mr. Rob, you can say.
Give him the balls.
Mrs. Little Pudsey has a square cut punt. Not a punt cut square, but a square cut punt. No, one more.
Yeah, but he didn't do it without prompting.
Give him the balls.
I was the only one that comes in. I had no prompting. That was square foot. Mine was just
Square foot.
Mrs. Little Pudsey.
Mrs. Little Pussy had a square punt. The punt was not so square as our Mrs. Pussy's butt.
Have you got dessert coming?
There you go.
Oh, God. But the Sphinx's hexagonal ashole is clogged by the sands of the Nile, which accounts for the hump on the camel and the Sphinx's inscrutable smile. Only a claim over time.